Namor the Sub-Mariner is the ruler of Atlantis and one of the most unpredictable forces in the Marvel Universe. He doesn't care much for the surface world unless it threatens his kingdom, and as Atlantis' king, he'll do whatever it takes to protect his people. As a hybrid mutant born to a human sea captain and an Atlantean princess, Namor's first real exposure to humanity came when he fought alongside the invaders during World War II too. But after years of wandering as an amnesiac, it was the Fantastic Four that helped him reclaim his identity, and from then on, Namor walked the line between hero and villain. He's fought with and against Earth's greatest, from teaming up with the X-Men and the Defenders to siding with Dr. Doom and the Cabal. But Namor's loyalty is always to Atlantis. His first real alliance with the Fantastic Four came in Fantastic Four Volume 1, issue 102 to 104, when Magneto tricked him into believing the surface world was attacking his kingdom. He nearly turned against humanity again, but when Magneto took Sue Storm and Lady Dorma hostage, Namor saw through the manipulation and fought alongside the Fantastic Four to stop him. Even then, he was volatile, always one moment away from turning on his allies. This moment actually marked the beginning of Namor's career as an anti-hero. He wasn't just an enemy of the surface world anymore. He had a code, a nobility, but he could never fully make peace with the world he once swore to destroy. The Mole Man. The Mole Man, aka Harvey Rupert Elder, is one of the Fantastic Four's oldest enemies and is right up there on the list of Fantastic Four's top villains, with the likes of Dr. Doom and Galactus. He's got a particular grudge against the Human Torch, but his hatred for the surface world runs deep. The Fantastic Four's very first battle in Fantastic Four Volume 1, Issue 1, was actually against Mole Man when he tried to take his revenge by sabotaging power plants and unleashing his underground monsters. The team stopped him, sealing him and his creatures beneath the earth, but that wasn't the last they'd see of him. Fast forward to issue 313, and the Thing, now leading the team, heads to Subterranea looking for Mole Man's help. Ms. Marvel needed to be restored to human form, and Mole Man was the only one who might have the knowledge to do it. Problem was, after seemingly perishing in issue 296 when Monster Isle sank, Mole Man had completely withdrawn from the world, abandoning his Moloids and leaving them at the mercy of the Tyrannoids and Lava Men. When the Fantastic Four finally found him, he was bitter, betrayed by everyone he'd ever trusted. Ben tried to reason with him, saying his people needed him, but before he could decide, an army of Lava Men burst out of a lava pool and attacked. Johnny jumped into the fight while Ben tried to join, but Crystal stopped him, warning that the extreme heat was too dangerous. Johnny managed to hold his own, driving the Lava Men back, but in the chaos, Mole Man was grabbed and pulled into the molten magma. The Fantastic Four had teamed up with him because they knew he was trying to protect his people, but they couldn't save him from the lava and were forced to retreat. Luckily, issue 329 revealed that Mole Man survived thanks to his heat-resistant suit. He eventually broke free and returned to lead his people once more. The Impossible Man. The Impossible Man, better known as Impy, is one of the most unpredictable beings in the Marvel Universe. As an alien from the planet Pop-Up, he has the ability to transform into anything he imagines, teleport across vast distances, and even warp reality to an extent. He's not exactly a villain, but his love for pranks and mischief, especially at the expense of the Fantastic Four, makes him a constant headache for Earth's heroes. Back in Fantastic Four, issue 11, Impy left Earth after Mr. Fantastic convinced the entire city of New York to simply ignore him. Bored out of his mind, he swore never to return, but that promise didn't last. His first sort of team up with the Fantastic Four happened in issue 175 when the High Evolutionary and the Fantastic Four called for help. Counter-Earth was about to be devoured by Galactus, and they needed to find an alternative world for him to consume. Impy had a solution. He offered up his own planet, Pop-Up, as a replacement. Galactus took the deal, but when he devoured the planet and its people, it caused severe digestive issues that seemingly took him out. With his homeworld gone and his fascination with Earth reignited, the Impossible Man decided to tag along with the Fantastic Four and make himself at home. During his time on Earth, Impy became obsessed with television, and that obsession lasted until issue 186, right before he got ambushed by Claw and the Molecule Man. The Fantastic Four revived him just in time for him to help in the battle, but his usual antics turned the fight into even more chaos. You see, Impy helped the Fantastic Four fight Claw and the Molecule Man in issue 186, trying to prevent the Molecule Man from reaching Reed's Siam device and being able to restore his original body. However, while the Impossible Man was busy fighting Claw, the Molecule Man made a break for the Siam. However, when Reed Richards disabled the device, the Molecule Man took possession of his body instead. The Impossible Man then helped the Fantastic Four battle the Molecule Man possessed Mr. Fantastic. Even when Impy tried to help, he didn't make much of a difference, and was eventually asked to sit the fight out. In the end, the Fantastic Four took down Molecule Man on their own. Throughout the comics, the Impossible Man has popped up time and time again to lend a hand, but with him, helping often causes more problems than it solves. The Puppet Master. The Puppet Master, aka Philip Masters, is one of the Fantastic Four's strangest enemies. Using radioactive clay, he can sculpt puppets that let him control real people like marionettes. Whether it's some kind of psionic ability or something more sinister, no one knows for sure. What is certain, though, is his deep grudge against the Thing, mainly because Ben Grimm is in love with his stepdaughter, Alicia Masters. Puppet Master is manipulative and thrives on controlling others, but his one soft spot is Alicia, and that love is exactly what led to his unexpected team-up with the Fantastic Four. In Fantastic Four Volume 1, issue 236, Dr. Doom recruited him to trap Alicia and the team inside a miniature world called Littleville. The plan was supposed to give Alicia the peaceful life Puppet Master thought she deserved, but Doom twisted it into something far worse. With their minds transferred into tiny cybernetic versions of their bodies, the Fantastic Four were trapped, powerless to fight back. At first, Puppet Master went along with Doom's plan, believing he was giving Alicia a better future. But when the team convinced him to see the truth, he turned against Doom. He didn't stand a chance in a direct fight, but he didn't have to. He used his influence over Littleville's people to rally them against Doom's avatar. Meanwhile, the Fantastic Four battled Doom from the outside, eventually trapping him in the very android body he had used to spy on them. Siding with the people he supposedly despised was unexpected, but it made perfect sense. At the end of the day, Puppet Master's love for Alicia outweighed his hatred for the Fantastic Four, proving that even a villain like him could show a little courage. Galactus. Galactus isn't just another cosmic powerhouse. He's a force of nature, a being who must consume planets to survive. Once, in a previous universe, he was just a mortal named Galen, but when his cosmos collapsed, he merged with its essence and was reborn in the next cycle as Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds. The Fantastic Four have faced some of the most powerful beings in existence, and they know when they're outmatched. That's exactly what happened in issue 212 when they encountered the Sphinx. Recognizing him as a cosmic-class threat, they did something unthinkable. They sought out Galactus for help. At first, Galactus had no interest in their problems, so Reed made a desperate gamble. If Galactus helped them, he could consume Earth. That offer was wild on its own, considering Galactus had already promised never to attack Earth again back in issue 50. What followed was an all-out battle between two immortals. The Sphinx fought with everything he had, but Galactus just wouldn't go down. Eventually, Galactus ripped the cause stone from his brow, crushed it into dust, and stripped him of his powers. It was an incredible fight, but it also raised a terrifying question. If the Fantastic Four needed Galactus to stop the Sphinx, who was going to save them when Galactus inevitably returned to collect his due? Sure enough, Galactus came back multiple times, barely being stopped each time. Meanwhile, countless other inhabited planets weren't so lucky. His hunger continued to make him a nightmare to every race in the universe. Another unexpected team-up happened in Volume 1, issue 520 to 523, but this time, it wasn't with Galactus, it was with Galen, his original human form. After earning Galactus's respect over the years, the Fantastic Four had come to see him as more than just a villain. Johnny in particular got a first-hand look at what it truly meant to be Galactus when he temporarily became his herald. With his new role, Johnny's perspective shifted. He saw Galactus for what he really was, not a monster, but something far more complicated. Meanwhile, Galen wasn't exactly impressed with humanity, but he did come to admire their relentless curiosity and drive to survive. Teaming up with Galactus is never without consequences. The Fantastic Four may have fought with him at times, but they've never forgotten what he truly is. An unstoppable force that one day they might not be able to stop. Sandman. Sandman is best known as one of Spider-Man's classic villains, but once he joined the Frightful Four, he found himself going toe-to-toe with the Fantastic Four as well. Over the years though, his story took a turn that no one saw coming. In Marvel 2-in-1, Volume 1, Issue 86, Sandman had been forcibly merged with Hydro Man thanks to a failed experiment by NYPD scientists. After countless failed attempts to separate them, the authorities gave up and dumped their remains in a landfill, but the last radiation treatment had a delayed effect, finally pulling the two apart. Shaken and feeling violated by the experience, Sandman wandered into a bar, drowning his sorrows. That's where the Thing found him, but instead of throwing fists, Ben realized Sandman wasn't looking for a fight, so they did something unexpected. They sat down for a drink. As they talked, Sandman reflected on his past, going over all the times he'd lost to Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, the Hulk, and more. When Ben asked what was next, Sandman admitted he was probably heading to jail. Moved by his honesty, Ben didn't turn him in. Instead, he left him a few bucks and told him to stay on the straight and narrow, or else. That moment was the start of something different for Sandman. Not all team-ups happen in battle, and this one was about a villain genuinely questioning his path. From then on, Sandman started showing up on the side of heroes. He and the Thing even became unlikely friends. In Marvel 2-in-1, Issue 96, when the Thing was hospitalized, a swarm of supervillains tried to attack him at his weakest. While heroes outside fought to defend him, Sandman quietly showed up in his room, not to fight, but to drop off some beer and cigars. For a guy who once tried to crush the Fantastic Four, Sandman's story became one of the best examples of not just team-up, but redemption in Marvel history. Dr. Doom. Victor Von Doom, better known as Dr. Doom, is the self-proclaimed ruler of Latveria, and he's as much a super genius as he is a megalomaniac. He was once a brilliant student, but his rivalry with Reed Richards, the future leader of the Fantastic Four, changed everything. A failed experiment to contact his late mother left him scarred, and after wandering the world, he found refuge among Tibetan monks. They helped him forge a suit of armor and an iron mask, marking the birth of Dr. Doom. He returned to Latveria, took control, and never looked back. Doom has fought countless heroes, but his true nemesis will always be the Fantastic Four, especially Mr. Fantastic, whom he blames for his accident. Despite being their greatest enemy, Doom once found himself working alongside them in Fantastic Four, Volume 1, Issue 318 to 319, because Doom believed their only chance of surviving a trip to the Negative Zone was with his help, and he needed them to uncover the secrets of the Beyonders. At first, the Fantastic Four are really skeptical and don't even want to team up with Doom, but Alicia Masters' intuition tells her that Doom has come to help them and isn't lying. Doom, being Doom, does not wait for them to agree. He drops a time shift bomb, throwing them 2 seconds out of sync, and rushes into Reed's lab, activating the Negative Zone portal and diving in. With Alicia at risk of being pulled in, Johnny saves her, and Ben and Sharon seal the portal. Furious at Doom's trickery, the Fantastic Four decide to follow him, but not without gearing up. Boarding Reed's negative space cruiser, they set off, leaving Alicia behind to monitor their mission. As they enter the Negative Zone, she can only hope Doom was really on their side. Things got bad fast. Blastar ambushes them, and he is way stronger than before. He tears through their ship, leaving them floating helplessly in negative space. Just when it looks like they are done for, Doom appears out of nowhere and takes down Blastar with ease. With the fight over, the Fantastic Four has no choice but to accept Doom's help, and together, they commandeer Blastar's ship. The Fantastic Four learned 2 things on this mission. 1, Doom keeps his word. He said no harm would come to them, and he even saved them. 2, Doom always looks out for himself. The second they found the Beyonder, he left them behind without hesitation. Doom isn't a hero, and he never will be, but when his goals line up with the heroes, he's an unstoppable force. The Maker. The Maker wasn't always a villain. Once he was Reed Richards, the brilliant, idealistic leader of the Fantastic Four, but that all changed after an experiment with the End Zone, triggered by Victor Van Dam, transformed Reed, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, Ben Grimm, and Victor himself. The Fantastic Four were born, and so was their greatest enemy, Dr. Doom. Reed tried to move forward, even proposing to Sue, but before she could answer, the ultimatum wave hit. Sue nearly died, and when she woke up, Reed was gone. Heartbroken, she rejected his proposal, and the Fantastic Four fell apart. Without them, Reed spiraled. He returned home, but living under his abusive father only pushed him further down a darker path. He abandoned everything he once stood for, even killing his own family, and became something worse than Doom himself. When Sue discovered the truth and tried to stop him, he nearly killed her. Johnny retaliated, burning and disfiguring Reed's face, but by then, it was too late. Reed was no longer Reed. He became the Maker, forging a new identity, a new mission, and a helmet to hide the man he used to be. He created the Children of Tomorrow, evolving himself and his followers for 1,000 years. Then Secret Wars happened. In issue 6, Reed Richards and the Maker found themselves on the same side, if only temporarily. In Project 42, they debated the biggest question of all: how to kill God. Reed questioned if they should even attempt it, while the Maker dismissed the idea, seeing Doom as unworthy. He pulled up footage of a rebellion against Doomstat, led by a figure calling himself the Prophet. Removing his helmet, the Maker saw his older self and wondered what could ever turn him into such a weary man. Reed told him, caring about others. The Maker ignored him, shifting focus to Doom's family, Susan Storm, Franklin, and Valeria. Reed hesitated but pushed forward, knowing they had to uncover Doom's power source. In issue 8, with chaos erupting across Battleworld, the two Reeds used the distraction to infiltrate Castle Doom. They discovered the true source of Doom's power, the Molecule Man. It was the key to everything, and the moment of truth arrived. But in issue 9, the team-up ended the only way it could. The Maker betrayed Reed, trapping him in a time bubble, convinced he was weak, but the Molecule Man saw through him. Without hesitation, he sliced the Maker into pieces, seemingly killing him. With the battle over, the Molecule Man granted Mr. Fantastic Doom's stolen power, and Reed began rebuilding all of reality. In the end, working with the Maker forced Reed to face his own potential for darkness. The Maker was pure logic without heart, the complete opposite of what made Reed who he was. The contrast was terrifying. It showed Reed just how dangerous he could be, and how close he'd come to losing himself. Don't forget to subscribe before you check out the video showing on your screen right now.